You're now listening to the Fullerton Unfiltered podcast. Straightforward, no nonsense business advice. Completely unfiltered. Grow your business. Grow your life. Now, here's your host, Brian Fullerton.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of the Fullerton Unfiltered podcast. It's your host, Brian Fullerton here, hanging out with you guys here early Sunday morning. So good morning to you guys, potentially here on Monday or whenever you're listening to the show. Hey, on today's episode, I want to talk to you guys about 2 surefire ways that you can guarantee success. How about that for a little pitch there? Guarantee success in a crushing year in 2021. I got 2 things that I want to reveal to you guys that I think are really going to help you out to make sure that no matter what happens circumstantially, no matter what happens to the year, you can ace 2021. And what we're going to do is piggyback and play off of Trisha's episode that we just did about goal setting and vision casting here just last week. So without further ado, let's jump into the podcast. We're going to hear from the show sponsors, the show announcements with Marty, Mr. Producer, and then we're going to come right on back.
Do you use fuel in your business? Do you use fuel in your off-road equipment? From lawnmowers to trimmers, blowers, generators, and tractors, if you use fuel in your business for off-road purposes, you are owed a 100% refund of fuel tax. On average, that's about $600 a year for users of Fuel Cred. How do you get your money? That's easy. Fuel Cred is the #1 fuel tax refund app on the market. Just download the mobile app. Connect a credit card and Fuel Cred does the rest. It automatically logs your fuel transactions, finds the cheapest fuel based on your fuel habits, and automates your fuel tax refund. Download the free Fuel Cred app, get your fuel tax refund, and save up to 40% on fuel today.
Ratings and reviews. Each week, we take a minute to highlight your guys' reviews of the show.
You guys are wonderful. Keep these 5-star ratings and reviews rolling in. This one simply says 5-star. The podcaster constantly on time and packed with entertainment and wisdom. Well, we did take a little break, but hey, we're going to be ramping back up here as the season cranks back up. The factory setting where I'm working is less than appealing, and every day Brian constantly encourages me to step away from chucking the truck to starting to take myself seriously, and he even says Marty's pretty cool. That is Aaron with Purple Walrus. I am the walrus. From the Master in Subway, great stuff. This isn't only knowledge related to the green industry, but any folks out there trying to start a business. I recommend the podcast to any hardworking soul that is determined to do better with the encouragement you'll receive from Brian. Mo for Less just says straight facts. This is by far the best podcast I've listened to. As a young entrepreneur, Brian has helped me to start my business right. Although I've only got 2 customers, this year I plan on building stronger by using the SMART acronym that Brian talked about, plus his knowledge on advertising has helped a lot. If I could, I'd give him 10 stars. Also, Mr. Producer has taken this podcast to the next level. Keep it going. Hey, we appreciate that. And let's see here, JM's Lawn Maintenance. Can't recommend enough. Great podcast made by a great guy. Brian and I have been talking for several months now, and he always takes the time to answer any questions. He's constantly putting out podcasts full of knowledge and golden nuggets that anyone of any experience level can learn from. I highly suggest this podcast to anyone, whether you're just starting out or you're a seasoned vet in the lawn and landscape scene. Thank you, Brian, for all that you do. He mentioned that he'd been talking with Brian. You too can have one-on-one coaching calls, and now really is the time to do that. Silly season starting up soon. Visit LawEntrepreneurAcademy.com, LawEntrepreneurAcademy.com. Book that one-on-one coaching call today.
Want us to read your review next? Let us know how we're doing, and we might just read your review on next week's show.
All right, good deal, guys. We'll always appreciate Marty bringing you guys the show sponsors, the show announcements. I used to say Monday, Wednesday, Friday, which, by the way, we're going to get back to a regularly scheduled show here in just another 4 to 6 weeks. Towards the end of February, going into March, we know that everybody's going to be getting outdoors, cutting grass, doing mulch, landscaping. You guys know how it is. And so all of that is going to be coming back to you guys here on a Monday, Wednesday, Friday show in just another month and a half. Right now, we're doing a Monday weekly show, and I really like to kind of downshift a little bit in the winter, maybe take some time off, recuperate a little bit. I think that's okay with, running multiple businesses. you got to take time to, refuel, recharge, and to make sure that, you're taking care of yourself as well. Here's what I wanted to talk about today. 2 surefire ways to ace 2021. And that is by controlling what we can control, right? 2 things I wanted to talk about was your actions and your attitude. I know this might be repeat for some of you guys, but stick with me here. I got some things that I want to share with you that might help kind of calibrate our brains. And how do I know that 2021, we can ace it by controlling our actions and our attitude? Well, here's what I will say. If you look at what's going on around the world today, politics, relationships, Facebook, social media, the U.S. election, the results that maybe you liked, maybe you didn't like, it is very, very tumultuous out there. And I'm noticing right now that a lot of people, even good people, are getting distracted. I'm not saying be naive. I'm not saying be ignorant. And I'm not saying don't pay attention. I'm just saying control what you can control, and the rest is not really in your control per se. So here's what I want to talk about. The election. Maybe things went your way. Maybe they didn't go your way. Maybe social media is just a dumpster fire like it can sometimes be. Facebook, Parler. I mean, you name it. We all know what's kind of going on. Well, all things being said, take a look at 2020. 2020, a lot of people would profess was a literal dumpster fire as well. And circumstantially, it might have been. But the reality is that for 2020, for Liz and I, it was the best year of our life. It was the best year relationally. It was the best year spiritually. It was the best year financially. I still need to work on the health puzzle piece, the health corner puzzle piece for my life. I won't speak for Liz. But the reality is that I like 2020. 2020 was a pretty good year. And here's why. No, it wasn't exactly all the circumstantial stuff that happened to us, but it was the success that I had personally with controlling my own actions and attitude. Now, don't get me wrong. There was things I liked in 2020 and things I absolutely didn't like. But even the things I didn't like, I didn't let it affect my attitude or my trajectory of how I wanted the year to go or how I wanted the year to end, right? We have all these goals and visions like we had just talked about on Trisha's podcast, the last week episode, and she just absolutely nailed it out of the park. And that's kind of how I approached last year as well. Now, let's be honest. There was times that we had lost money. There was times that we were forced closed. A lot of us didn't know if we would have a business, for crying out loud. Some of the times we were burning cash. Sometimes we had great revenue coming in. Sometimes we didn't. And the reality is, some things I could control and some things I couldn't. And I will tell you this, if you want to have overwhelming success in 2021 or any year from here on out, the 2 things that you can control are your actions and your attitude. You see, I couldn't control the circumstances around me. I mean, I guess I could put myself in a position to win. Let's say I wanted to cut grass year round. Well, can't really do that in Michigan, but I could do that in Florida. So I guess you can make that like fun argument. Well, you could always move and you could always do this for sure. But the reality is that the circumstances around me, I didn't want to, or I wasn't going to let dictate my success. So I can control my actions, right? For example, really simple case study. We were shut down for 5 to 6 weeks. We lost on $15,000 to $20,000. That was a hit. But what I could do is control my actions and do whatever it took to replace that income through the rest of the season. So for us, we raised prices, we dropped clients, we added clients, we cherry picked, we pruned, we did way more aerations. And for me, we did a lot more fall cleanups. We added equipment, we tried to be more productive, more efficient. We added labor, we added guys, right? And for me, although 2020 circumstantially was a dumpster fire, the reality was we were doing everything we could to make sure that it wasn't. Right. And that is whether you call that extreme ownership, whether you call it leadership. The reality is that whatever happens around you, it cannot dictate your success. And I know that might be a hard pill to swallow. I know that sometimes listening to that, it's just like, well, easy for you to say. And dude, I get it. Like, honestly, I totally get it because I was living through it as well. And I'm trying to give myself this little pep talk and reminder that it doesn't matter what is going to happen in 2021. What happens or what matters to you and what happens is based on your attitude and your actions. And I'm giving a little checkup from the neck up for you guys as much as I am for me. politically, maybe your guy is in, maybe your guy is not in. The reality is that you should not let whoever is elected president of the United States dictate your family's future, your financial future, your spiritual future, your relationship future. I know that circumstantially things are going to change probably for a lot of us, at least if you're living here in the United States, because the last 4 years are going to be probably drastically different than the next 4 years. Irregardless, what am I going to do? Am I going to say, oh, because this guy's in office or this guy's not in office? Pick your guy. I don't care. What am I going to say? Because this guy's in office, my family's finances are going to grow, and because this guy's in office, now my finances are going to stop growing? I don't think so. Me personally, I'm not going to let somebody who's 600 miles away control my financial future. Now, if that means I've got to be more suave, more aggressive, have a better business team, elevate, if I got to change things, that means I have to grow. Right? So I can change things around me based on my actions. And so that's something that I really wanted to implore onto you guys. Doesn't really matter to me what 2021 is going to quote unquote dish out to me, because I plan to dish out to 2021. And again, I don't want to sound like a hero either, but I'll tell you guys straight up. If you're reactionary, if you are reactive to this whole situation of politics or social media, or just maybe it was a good year or a bad year, COVID, the economy, all this kind of stuff, the better way to approach all the different circumstances that are being dealt to you is to respond. React means you just, you kind of lash out. It's a violent, you're reacting, that's one way to approach it, but there's a lot of mayhem and not predictability to reacting. Responding is the more appropriate, the more mature way to approach business and life. So, for example, your wife yells at you or you yell at your wife and you guys start reacting to each other. Probably not the best scenario there, because we all know what happens when you react. Now, if somebody yells at you and you respond by saying, hey, whoa, that was kind of weird, or an outburst, like, is everything okay? What can I do for you? Or what's going on? That is a response. A react is somebody screams at you, you scream back, and everybody, goes to war, right? So 2021, we're in that boat. You can react to what's going to happen to you, or you can respond. Hey, maybe this guy's in president, or this guy's in office now. How are you going to respond to the situation? Reacting is, we're going to go to war. Respond is, you know what? I'm going to figure out how to make this not as bad, or maybe it is for your guy. I'm going to figure out how to make this as good as possible for me, right? That's all fair game. Again, I'm not trying to get political. It's a lawn care podcast, but I'm just trying to let you guys know I've seen this be the dominant thought for a lot of people the last 2-3 weeks, and rightfully so. And I'm, not immune to it either. But I'm trying to keep things in perspective, okay? And that's just a mature way to approach life. And by the way, that's a mature way to approach business, because you're business people, okay? So it doesn't matter who's in office. It doesn't matter what gas prices are doing. It doesn't matter what taxes are doing. Do I want the circumstances to be better? Do I want the circumstances to be favorable? Sure. But no matter what, I'm going to make sure that my company grows. My company's profitable. My life is better despite their circumstances. And by the way, those are all the actions we were just talking about. But that's also the attitude. And I know for a fact, the only two things I can control in life are my actions and my attitude. And how do you control your attitude, right? We've all heard this. It's what goes in is what comes out, right? Your thoughts lead to your, Your thoughts turn into actions. Your actions turn into habits, and habits turn into your character. Well, what's going in as thoughts? What's the precursor to that whole flow chart? Well, what controls your thoughts? Well, what you let into your ear gate and your eye gate, right? So a lot of people the last 2-3 weeks, they're charged up, they're fired up, they're freaking out. And whether that's true or good or bad or true or not or whatever, it's irrelevant. The lesson, the takeaway here is the fact that you can tell what people have been putting into their ear gate and their eye gate the last 2-3 weeks. And if it's tumultuousness, if it's anger, if it's excitement, if it's people excited, people pissed off, everywhere in between, you can really derive really quickly just talking to somebody. What have they been listening to? What have they been letting into their life? Now, again, it's one of those things too, when you go around in life, and if I talk to you, we've talked about this on previous podcasts. But if I talk to you, I can almost figure out your income level and your pay grade. And that sounds weird, but your pay grade in about 30 to 60 seconds. And why is that? Because I can just listen to you. And I can know the last couple things you read, the things that are important to you, your priorities, what you're talking about. Are you talking about past? You're talking about present? You're talking about future? And it does, doesn't make me a better person or anything like that. It just means I got to control what's going on around me. And if somebody's just, all pissed off and they're just freaking out and like ready to go to war, okay, that's cool. But I still got to take care of my family today. And that's the reality of it. I got to take care of my family today, despite who's president, my guy, your guy, who doesn't even matter, right? And so that's something that I really wanted to implore to you guys is watch the people around you. Watch what's going into your ear gate, your eye gate. And I knew this in 2020. Okay, I've known this for the last 10 years. I don't know if I heard it from somebody or read it in a book, but the reality is a lot of people right now are not controlling what they're consuming. And more so now than ever, you need to be very diligent at guarding up your mind, your ear gate, and your eye gate. I'm not trying to say what you're focused on isn't important. Don't read into it too much. I'm just saying, despite that, what are you going to do? Okay, control what you can control, which is your actions and your attitude. So again, one thing that if you haven't heard that before is your thoughts control your actions control your character controls your habits, I think it is, and then your habits form your destiny, or something very close to that. Well, let's control our thoughts, let's control our actions, let's control our habits, let's control our character, and what are we going to do is control our destiny. And right now, if you're putting in, garbage out, well, what are you putting into your ear gate and your eye gate? Okay. If you're putting in a bunch of muddy, murky water, and that's going to trickle through that whole little flow chart there from bowl to bowl to bowl, and you're going to go at the end of 2021, realize that your destiny or your end result for the year, if you will, is not what you want it to be. Well, where is the fault in that whole thought process, that whole line? It goes all the way back to what's going into our ear gate and our eye gate. What are we consuming day to day? Again, if you're consuming good podcasts, good YouTube videos, reading good books, that's the stuff that's going to help you determine to have a better outcome by the end of the year. And I know this sounds a little preachy, but I just wanted to really come at you guys with this kind of hopefully helpful content because I want to see you guys win and I want to see you guys succeed. And I'm telling you what, even I'm in lawn care groups or lawn care this or, Instagram, and all we do is talk lawn care. I have just seen the whole world turned upside down. Rightfully so, right or wrong. I'm not going to get into what side's right or what side's wrong. You guys decide. I'm a lawn care guy, lawn care podcast. But the reality is that I really, really hope that those folks are spending 1% being vocal about whatever's happening in life, and they're still spending 99% controlling their ear gate and their eye gate. Like you might say, hey, my guy didn't win, but you know what? I got a new CPA. Hey, my guy didn't win, but I you know what? I'm going to grow 20% this year. Hey, my guy didn't win, and I'm going to make sure that I grow my net profit 10% this year. Hey, my guy won. My guy's getting in. Man, I can't wait to do whatever I want to do about taxes. Hey, my guy got in. I can't wait to do this with my business. Hey, my guy got in. I can't wait to be more profitable, right? And that's what I just really want to challenge you guys. Whether that turns into and this is how it doubles back to the podcast we did last week with Trisha. Whether that turns into, hey, I'm going to read a book a week or a book a month. Hey, I'm going to listen to good podcasts. I'm going to minimize my social media consumption from Facebook and Instagram. Look, you can make a post. You can check in on things. You can watch YouTube videos. That's fine. But once that conversation starts getting a hold of you and you not controlling it, that's when it becomes a problem. And for some of you guys, it might be 10 minutes a day. Some of you guys, it might be an hour a day. I noticed for me, I'm just talking about me. After about 10 to 15 minutes, once I'm on social media, I'm like, okay, that's enough internet for the day. And that's really all I wanted to cover with talking about the social media and the world events, okay? And again, I'm not making light of anything, but I'm just saying we all have businesses to run. And whether or not your guy got in or didn't get in, whether or not the weather's great or there's a hurricane or there's a storm or there's this or that, or just life, guys, whether there's family issues, whether there's relationship issues, the reality is that we still got to win. We still got to win. And I really want to just bring us back to maybe true north here on this podcast for just a quick minute and remind everybody that despite the circumstances, that you can still control your future. You can still make 2021 your best year ever by controlling your actions and your attitude. And that is honestly, in 2021, that is going to be a daily reminder for myself. It is, listen, dude, I don't care what happened yesterday. I don't care what happened a week ago. I don't even care what happened today so far today. I can right now decide to draw a line in the sand and fix my attitude. I can control what I can control. The rest I can't control. And if I can't control it, I'm going to respond, not react. Okay. And so that's it. That's what I got for you guys today. It's a short and sweet podcast, but if you take what I'm telling you, or at least suggesting to you, I think you can make sure that 2021 is your best year ever. 2021 for a lot of folks, it was really interesting about 2 weeks ago watching, or a week ago watching New Year's, and everybody was so quick to dismiss 2021. And they said it was a dumpster fire, worst year ever. Hey, let's not redo that. And a lot of memes, a lot of jokes, and rightfully so. 2020 sort of was a dumpster fire. But you know what the real dumpster fire of was 2020 for somebody who's saying that 2020 was a dumpster fire? Their attitude, their mentality, and how they approach business, how they approach life. They were reactionary versus responsive. They did not control their actions and their attitudes. They were circumstantial. They were just a flag on a flagpole getting blown around with no firmness, no ability to control what they were doing. They were a sail in the wind, just flopping around, and they took whatever 2020 gave them. And for some of us, we decided to put a stake in the ground. For some of you guys listening in, you said, a lot of interesting things happening in 2020, but my number one priority and my number one goal is to still win. I got to come out on top. And it was tough. It was really tough for a lot of us. We changed things. We adapted. We overcame. We were doing things we've never done before. That is my life story. I did so many firsts in 2020 than I have ever done probably in the last 4 or 5 years. And I thought I was like smoking this thing. I thought that I was doing great. I thought I was adaptive. I thought I was easily meldable, changeable, right? What I realized is, holy cow, I had to be way more fluid. 2020, you can call me Gumby because all I was flexible. You know what I'm saying? So here's what I wanted to say. 2020, again, everybody, for the most part, 99% of people were looking at 2020 like it was a dumpster fire. And 99% of those people, they went backwards. For those of you guys that had mental fortitude, just girded yourself up. A lot of you guys listening in, 2020 was the best year of your life. And why is that? I would imagine it's because you controlled your actions and your attitude. You didn't even know you were doing it. But by every single day listening to a podcast, what did you guys do? You calibrated your brain to focus on the positive, to win, to move the needle forward. Every day you listen to Paul Jameson, the Green Industry Podcast, you were girding yourself up mentally. And you didn't know you were doing it. At 8 o'clock in the morning, you flip on the podcast. We all do it. I do it. I love listening to podcasts, Paul's and other people's. And what did? We calibrated our day, right? We calibrated our brain first thing in the morning to make sure that no matter what came to us, which, by the way, seemed like daily something was happening or changing, whether it was in business or in life, society, politically, all this stuff, social media, right? COVID, indoor, outdoor dining. I mean, just the reality of it was, nobody knew what they were doing in 2020. That seemed to be the reality, except for the people that were being intentional, right? And so at the end of the year, January, December 31st, everybody was like, 2021 or 2020, let's never do that again. Liz and I looked back at each other and we looked at each other and we go, well, our income 2x, this x, this 1x, 2x, 5x. We had a great year. Why? Because we decided to lead. We decided to own our future. I'm not a hero. I'm definitely not a hero. I mean, there's things that I won at and things I won big at, and then there's other things where it was flat. But the reality is, nothing that we had went backwards. I mean, we made sure of it. And that means I put in 5, 10, 20 times the effort to make sure that things moved forward, things could grow. I mean, we were passing out flyers. We were, doing more leaf cleanups. We invested into the equipment. We invested into the guys to make sure that our rigs were extremely profitable, extremely efficient. We were doing all kinds. I was selling aerations like a stockbroker. You need an aeration? You need an aeration? Aerations are on sale. I mean, I was trying to make sure that our life and our business came out on top in 2020. So how do I know that you can ace 2021? Because what I'm telling you is what we did to have probably the best year of our life, which was 2020. While everybody else around us had a dumpster fire of a year because they had a dumpster fire of a mentality, Liz and I, and we're not heroes, but we just saw the writing on the wall. Everybody's going to freak out. Everybody's going to be reactionary. Everybody's going to get blown in the wind, and everybody's going to be reacting, and they're going to just take whatever life dishes them. And you guys all know what happens when you bargain for a penny, right? When you bargain with life for a penny, life could pay no more. You guys know the poem. Go look it up. And if you were just hoping that 2020 would give you enough to squeak by, I bet you life gave you enough to squeak by. If you were demanding out of 2020 to grow your business 10%, I bet you grow your business 10%. And if you did a double, if you did 50%, 100%, and your life and your income doubled last year, I bet it's because you demanded it and made sure that it happened. So don't tell me 2020 was a sucky year for everybody. 2020, if I had 2 or 3 more 2020s, I would be a multimillionaire, right? And that's lawn care. That's YouTube aside. Like lawn care was amazing. We had a great year. We were flat, but we were so much more profitable that we made the same amount, if not more money. I think actually we made the exact same amount of money. We were down significantly in sales, but that's okay. We knew that was going to happen. I mean, there's things I could control and things I couldn't control. I couldn't control being shut down for 5 weeks, but I could control, hey, when that gate finally opens and the horses go to the races, we're going to turn on the turbo boosters and smoke 2020, right? But we had the right attitude, and it's tough. I don't want to sound like a hero, but it was tough. But you know what? Being rich is tough. Being poor is tough. You know, it's not going to be easier no matter if you got more money or more this or more, more employees, less employees, more equipment, less equipment. Look, the reality is that it's going to be dependent on your attitude and what you do with your life and your business. So here's my little checkup from the neck up, okay? Go back and listen to Trisha's podcast at least once a week for the next 3 or 4 months. She did a banger job. It was probably the most fun podcast episode I've done in a couple weeks, couple months. She absolutely nailed it out of the park. And that girl, I guarantee you, she did a double or a triple on her income. She crushed it with growing her business, her life, her family. And you know what? And I made light of it. But you know what she didn't have a goal for? It wasn't, hey, we're going to consume this many hours of TV or consume this many hours of social media. Like the world's burning down, Fiddler on the Roof style here. And you know what she did? She had the best year of her life. Now, I'm not saying also to be ignorant that the world's burning down. There's stuff that you can do to be engaged, be active, and do your best to make sure that your circumstance comes out on top. So, let's not go from one ditch to the other. But the reality is that I don't care who's going to be president of the United States. I don't care what social media does to a degree. I don't care all this other stuff. If all my social media went away, you know what I got to do as a business owner? Figure out how to still reach you guys. Figure out how to still make an impact in this lawn care community. If that's my business, right? I can't be reactive. I got to be proactive. I can't be reactionary. I got to be respond appropriately, if that makes sense. And that is very mature talk. That is leadership type talk. And for you guys that run your own business, you are the leader. You are the captain of your ship, right? So let's stop. And here's what I'm just trying to say. The last 2-3 weeks, last weekend especially, it's been crazy. It's absolutely crazy. And even myself, who tries to stay immune to it and let it, put up walls to not hear as much or see as much, it still seeps into even my ecosystem. And that's okay, because I want to be educated. I want to be observant. I want to know what's going on, have my finger on the pulse. But the reality is that, look, I can't control a lot of stuff that's going on right now, but I can control what I can control. And that's what I would encourage you guys to do. So without being redundant, without being beating a dead horse, as my wife would say, that's what I got for you guys. I'm motivated. If you guys can tell, I'm motivated. I'm excited. We are drawing a line in the sand. 2020 was an amazing year for us. But I'll tell you what, I'm going to make 2020 look like it was like we were only up 5% or 10% compared to what I want to do in 2021. I am going to 3x everything that I've done in the last 3 or 4 years combined just in 2021. You know why? Because, can I just be honest with you guys? I've realized how wide open it is. While everybody else is just infighting and it's a dumpster fire and they've given up, you know what I've realized? That if you wanted to win big in 2021, it's I don't want to say it's easy because there's a lot of work to do, but you've never seen a more perfect storm to crush it in business and life. You're like, well, this guy's getting in office, or this guy's not in office, or this guy's not in office, and this guy's in office. I understand. But coming from the perspective of somebody who gets a lot of data, you know what? I'll tell you what. If you want to make 2021 the best year of your life, it is so wide open, it's not even funny. Just so you guys know, every year there's 2 to 3 million new millionaires. Okay, whether it's a Democrat in office or a Republican, whether the economy's up or the economy's down. Who's going to come out on top in 2021? Who's going to have the best year of your life? And you know what? 99% of you guys, you're going to look at this year and you're going to say, I'm going to win, I'm going to grow, I'm going to crush it. And I really hope you do. But there's going to be 1 or 2 of you that are going to say, you know what? I know everybody else is out there working hard, but I'm going to make sure, I'm going to guarantee it by how hard I work. And that's the reality. That's what you guys very rarely get to see from a lot of people who succeed in life, because that success shows up 2, 4, 5 years later. It's that insane amount of work. And you know what? I'm willing to work and I'm interested in working harder now than I ever have because I see how wide open it is. And if you wanted to get wealthy, if you wanted to start a lawn care business and make a couple $100,000, you wanted to do this, do that, I don't know of a more perfect storm than what we're living in right now because of social media, because of scaling, because of technology, right? So here's what I'm saying. If your wood is wet, if your attitude sucks, hey, listen to some good podcasts, okay? Shake it off. Hit the gym. Get some better food in a better diet. Okay, get around good, positive people. Get off your social media. Here's one thing I'll tell you. All my social media, arguably, is all with people who think the same way I do, and they're all positive to a degree because I've pruned my social media. Even my social media following, right? You're like, there's a couple $100,000 people that follow you. Trust me, I prune my social media. I don't need everybody following me. I don't want everybody following. And frankly, I don't want to follow and listen to other people who have bad attitudes. So I unfollow and I unfriend way quicker than you would ever imagine. Why? Because I'm always controlling that. Even if I do jump on social media, all I want to see is positive things. I don't want an echo chamber, but all I want to see is positive and people that are looking to a better future. Okay. So that's what I want to just challenge you guys with. Let's control our actions and our attitude. I think if you do that, you can have the best year ever in 2021. Why? Because that's what I did in 2020. And I know a lot of you guys did in 2020. And if you did that last year, you had the best year of your life. And look around. The people who didn't, they were calling 2020 a dumpster fire. And maybe it was circumstantially, but you know what? Liz and I, and a lot of you guys, we still made sure that we made it the best year of our life. All right. That's my positive, upbeat, encouraging word for you guys today. Stay tuned as we start coming back to you guys every Monday with a fun, exciting, upbeat message and podcast episode for you. By the way, we're going to start taking on a lot of guests. So if you guys want to start getting on the show, email us at, I think it is fullertonunfiltered@gmail.com, or you can email our Brian's Lawn Maintenance 2007@gmail.com. We're going to get a bunch of you guys on. I want to start hearing your guys' success, your guys' stories, and we're going to start compiling those to release them, like I said, February, March, April. So we might even do an episode here end of January, end of February with you guys, and that might not come out till April, May, June. But if you guys got a good story to tell, start reaching out, keep in touch, shoot me some Instagram messages. We're not going to take everybody's story because there's a lot of you guys, but if you got something unique, something good, whether it's a startup story or, you've been in business for 5 years and you're crushing it and you had a great 2020, love to hear you guys' stories. So keep in touch with us with that. And then also quick little plug here for Launchpreneur Academy. In the next 2 weeks, 2-3 weeks, definitely by the end of January, we have a lot of resources coming out. I'm working my fingers to the bone behind the scenes to button a couple things up, which is really, really exciting. Some good resources to help you guys seriously dominate 2020. We crush it in 2020, dominate in 2021. And then one other quick announcement. We are doing a green industry hype house. We're not like a bunch of little 19-year-old TikTokers, okay? So the cringe isn't going to be that bad. But I will tell you what, the Almonds, Caleb and Brittany, Paul Jameson, Lawn Care Rookie Naylor, the Spencer, Stanley, potentially the Nickens, Alan Hain. I'm always leaving people out. I apologize. I try to remember everybody's name. But we're going to do a green industry hype house in the first / second week of February, which is going to be super exciting. We're going to get a bunch of content collaboration together, share a bunch of videos and pranks and just fun topics that we got in 2021. To help you guys just kind of lighten up, get some exposure for a couple different people, just kind of hang out, have some fun. So if you guys got some fun prank videos or some prank ideas or things we can do at the house, let us know. That is going to be the second week of February. So stay tuned to everybody's YouTube channels, Instagrams, podcasts. Quick shout out to LMN for sponsoring the Hype House, the first ever green industry Hype House. And then what was I going to say? Oh, on Friday from about 4 to 6 p.m., we're going to be at Armature Park down in Tampa, Florida. That's where we're going to be. There's going to be a meetup there. I'm not telling you guys to buy a plane ticket if you're in Minnesota or Chicago and flying down. It's not that crazy. It's going to be a couple hour meetup. But if you guys are in the Florida area or within a couple hours, you want to drive on down, hang out, meet your favorite YouTuber and Instagram guy, awesome. I'm not telling you guys to fly and come hang out with us for the week because it's not going to be available until Friday. So don't buy a $600 plane ticket to meet somebody for 2 hours unless you want to. I'm not going to tell you what to do. But stay tuned for a bunch of fun content like that coming out. Follow those guys on YouTube. Follow those guys on Instagram. It's going to be a really, really good time, spearheaded by Paul Jameson, who has wanted to do something fun and just do prank videos, hang out with each other, cross-pollinate audiences, and it's just going to be a really good time. So that's going to be the second week of February, all right? So that's what I got for you guys today. Short and sweet. And I wish you guys nothing but the best as we head into this week. Whether you are crushing it with leaf cleanups and, maybe even doing snow removal. I saw Texas is getting snow down south. Awesome. If you guys are plowing up in the Midwest and Northeast, exciting times. Stay safe out there. If you guys are just kind of chilling, honestly, letting the beard grow out, eating breakfast at 10 a.m. and sleeping until 9 a.m. Who doesn't like that? Liz made me breakfast yesterday, and I was actually texting Mr. Producer here this morning, and he said, he's like, I'm jealous about that breakfast that Liz made for you the other day. And I said, let's be honest, she just did it for the YouTube video that we put out on Fullerton Party of Two. I'm just having some fun. So it's not breakfast like that every day in the Fullerton household. Although what it is, I know I super appreciate it because Liz makes some killer thick cut bacon, some killer French toast. She gets the cinnamon swirl bread with a thick crust on the outside, and then that thick cut bacon gets a little extra crispy, so it just kind of brittles and snaps in half. I can almost hear the grease popping right now. So that's what I got for you guys. Sorry if I'm making you hungry. Go get some lunch or some breakfast here. But guys, we will catch up with you here next week, Monday. Let's kick it over to the best producer in the biz. Of course, Marty, Mr. Producer. We'll see you guys on the next one.
True story. Paul Jameson actually invited me to be a part of the Hype House down in Florida next month. That is until my wife mentioned to him that I have this little tendency to sleepwalk naked or naked, as Paul says. And poof, the invitation was retracted. Probably the wise call, the good decision. Nobody wants the creepy old guy walking around in his Snoop Dogg smoking jacket ruining the vibe of a Hype House. Something that definitely deserves some hype is the new postcard designs about to drop at launchpreneuracademy.com. Now, in addition to the great designs for launchpreneurs that are centered around the seasonal services that are currently available, Brian's going to be bringing you postcards to promote and expand your services in fertilization, paver patio installs, marketing mulch installs, and a bunch more that will be available exclusively at launchpreneuracademy.com. Guys, look for another show next Monday, and please show some love and appreciation to Fuel Cred, who made today's episode possible. Do you use fuel in your business? Do you use fuel in your off-road equipment? From lawnmowers to trimmers, blowers, generators, and tractors, if you use fuel in your business for off-road purposes, you are owed a 100% refund of fuel tax. On average, that's about $600 a year for users of Fuel Cred. How do you get your money? That's easy. Fuel Cred is the #1 fuel tax refund app on the market. Just download the mobile app, connect a credit card, and Fuel Cred does the rest. It automatically logs your fuel transactions, finds the cheapest fuel based on your fuel habits, and automates your fuel tax refund. Download the free Fuel Cred app, get your fuel tax refund, and save up to 40% on fuel today.
Thanks for taking the time to listen to the Fullerton Unfiltered podcast with Brian Fullerton. We hope you enjoyed this production. If so, please consider leaving us a 5-star review for the show. While the techniques and ideas presented here are designed to help you grow a more successful and profitable business, no one can guarantee these results for you. We want to emphasize that entrepreneurship is not easy, and the ideas presented here are just the opinions of Brian Fullerton and his respective guests. No one can guarantee success for you. That being said, we hope the ideas presented here help you and motivate you to go on out there and crush it with your own business.
Fullerton Unfiltered Podcast.
Thanks for listening, and we hope to see you on the next episode.
This has been a Brian Fullerton and Mr. Producer production.